All right, in this unit we're going to take those reflexive verbs and now we're going to conjugate them in the passé composé. So remember the passé composé was the composed past tense. Composed meaning that it's made up out of two parts. The auxiliary verb, typically either avoir or être, plus the past participle. To find a regular past participle, follow one of these three rules. An ER verb, find the infinitive, drop the ER, and add an E accent aigu. An IR verb, take the infinitive, drop the IR, and add an I. And an RE verb, drop the RE off the infinitive and add a U. Reflexive passé composé looks just slightly different. All reflexive verbs will use être as their auxiliary verb, even if the non-reflexive version of that verb takes avoir. The inclusion of the reflexive pronoun forces you to use être. So for example, the non-reflexive sentence, je lave le chien, I'm washing the dog. In the past tense, to say I washed the dog, j'ai lavé le chien. We use avoir and a regular formation of laver. If I want to say I washed myself, je me lave, I am washing myself. Because this is reflexive, now I have to use être. So instead of saying j'ai lavé, I'm going to say je me suis lavé. So questions 1 and 2. Which auxiliary verb, être or avoir, do these verbs take in the passé composé? So 1, lever, and 2, se brosser. Reflexives form the past participle the exact same way that non-reflexives do. A regular ER verb will drop the ER from the infinitive and add E accent aigu. A regular IR verb, we drop the IR from the infinitive and add an I. And a regular RE verb, we drop the RE from the infinitive and add a U. However, please be aware that if the non-reflexive form has an irregular past participle, this will remain irregular in the reflexive. We're going to use the exact same past participle as we do in the non-reflexive form, but if it didn't follow one of those three rules we just talked about, it's still not going to in the reflexive. We have two verbs that do that in this unit, so it's very important that you remember that this happens. The reflexive pronoun will always stay where it is, right before the verb. It's where all of the other pronouns also go, whether it's a reflexive pronoun, a direct pronoun, direct object pronoun, an indirect object pronoun, e or on. They all go in front of the verb. Remember that because this is a composed tense, both words are considered part of the verb. So in the present we had je me brosse les cheveux. So the me went in front of the brosse because brosse was our verb, to brush. In the passé composé, it's going to go in front of the suis. Je me suis brossé. Because the entire verb is suis brossé. Both words go together to form one verb. So the me has to go in front of the entire composed piece. If we look at another example, nous nous rasons les visages. So we are shaving our faces. The nous is in front of the raison because that's where our present tense reflexive pronouns go. Raison is of course our conjugation of raser. In the passé composé, therefore, nous nous sommes rasés les visages. We've added our reflexive pronoun in front of our sommes rasés because sommes rasés altogether is our verb. Even if it's two words, it's still the verb. So, question number 3. What is the past participle of se maquiller? Just the past participle. Question number 4. Now, how would you conjugate the following reflexive verb in the passé composé? So we have tu and se laver. So how would you say you did wash? All verbs which take être in the passé composé must make the past participle agree with the subject in gender and number. Okay, this is every single verb that takes être in the passé composé, whether it's reflexive or not. So if we have a feminine subject, we have to add an e, such as il est allé becomes elle est allée. We don't hear it, but we see it. Same thing with number. We have to add an s to make things plural. So il est allé becomes ils sont allés. And if it's, of course, singular or feminine and plural, we have to add both the e and the s. Elles sont allées. We're going to do the exact same thing with reflexive verbs because all reflexive verbs take être, and all verbs that take être have to agree. Therefore, all reflexive verbs in the past participle must have agreement between the subject and the past participle. So just like before where we had il est lavé, or il est allé, elle est allée, where we added the e, we'll do the exact same thing with our reflexives. Il s'est lavé, elle s'est lavée, with another e. And then we'll still add our s in the plurals. Il s'est lavé, ils se sont lavés. So question 5. Conjugate the following reflexive verb in the passé composé for the given subject pronoun. So for elle, we're going to conjugate se réveiller.